Hi again, everyone. I'm olliemathews. This is Societal Narcissism. This video is sponsored by contribution from Beth. Beth gave a general contribution, which I'll use on this video. We got here as a story, I guess an article from Katie Couric Media, of all people, which is written by a daughter who went estranged from her family. The type of people that then go on and do these estranged parent groups. And I looked on Facebook. The Facebook is loaded with estranged parent groups. Except I'm not joining their group to go in there and see what the hell's going on there, because Facebook is just so goddamn toxic. It's just pathetic. I would suggest to you to go on Google and just Google, estranged parent support group, and look at what comes up. Click on the video section of it and look at all the Facebook groups of all these estranged parents. So, this is from February of last year. I estranged myself from my dysfunctional family, and I have no regrets. It wasn't an easy choice, but it was the only one for me. Even during this terrible, unending pandemic, I'm pretty blessed. I love my job. I have a delightful partner, an adorable dog, a charming house in a cool town, and lovely friends. But below this happy list of truth lies a more uncomfortable one. I've been estranged from my parents for about 10 years. I don't tell everyone about this, but it isn't really a secret. I live in the family-focused American South, where culturally estrangement makes me kind of a freak. Not as much as it used to be. Not as much anymore. I get a lot of questions. Don't you still love them? Yes. Do you feel guilty? I used to, but it's getting easier. Why are you estranged? Because it made my life instantly, immeasurably better. What if they die? I'm still working on this one, but I can live with the ambiguity for now. See, for me, luckily, I never loved them, so that would be a no. Do you feel guilty? Never. Only in regards to my daughter. Why are you estranged? I'm like, I agree, because it's made my life immeasurably better. And I wouldn't have lasted. I wouldn't have lasted if I was still up there. I wouldn't have lasted. What if they die? Well, one's already gone. The other one, fingers crossed. Unfortunately, every male in his family lived well into their late 90s, so he'll probably outlive me. But whatever. Could care less. I could not care. I could not care any less. Estrangement was a huge relief when I initiated it a decade ago, and it still is. It started when my family's drama was reaching a fever pitch. Intense controlling behavior over my finances and relationship. None of their business. None of their business, but again, this is why we go no contact. Unkind body shaming, of course, verbal abuse whenever I defied their wishes. And again, defiance is a slave term. So the writer of this even viewed herself as like a slave master type relationship, that you would be in defying them, their wishes, when you're a full-grown adult making your own decision, doing what you think is best for you. You're still in that slave master type of mentality that you think you can't defy the narcissist. An adult child cannot defy their parents. They could disagree with them, they can make their own life choices, but defiance is something that you do with somebody who has some kind of established legitimate power over you. There's no legitimacy to your parents' power over you as an adult. So therefore, you cannot defy them. Treating me like their personal therapist, and worst of all, more than one alcohol and drug fueled violent outburst that de escalated only when the county sheriff arrived. It all felt so overwhelming that I couldn't cope anymore. I was newly married at 30 years old and trying to forge my own path as an adult, away from the chaos, away from the emotional and physical abuse I had grown up surrounded by. My parents hadn't been handling my transition to adult independence well. Of course they do. They treat you like a runaway slave. That's how they see you. Estranged parents see you as a runaway slave. That's exactly the mentality. They were retiring and wanted us to be closer than ever. Enmeshed, really. Just as I was entering married life, settling into my career, and making friends in a new town, they wanted more and more of my time. Whatever I did give was never enough. They no longer physically hit me like they had when I lived under their roof, but the guilt trips were epic. My mom effortlessly switched between calling me her best friend, which you never were, and a selfish little bitch, frequently flying into screaming rages whenever I didn't do exactly what she wanted, then denying it ever happened. See, and this is what the estranged parents will never tell you. This is why their groups and their videos are nothing but vague statements of I don't know why, and I wasn't a perfect parent, and maybe some mistakes were made. I didn't know any better. The estrangees, the abused, will tell you exactly what happened, exactly what their problem is. So who do you believe? Who is it easier to believe, really? Why is it so easy to know who's telling the truth? The one who's giving you details, or the one who's keeping it all vague and acting like they don't know? If I brought up her angry outburst or quoted her words back to her, she said I had an active imagination. Gaslighting. Both my parents would call multiple times a day, and if I didn't pick up, they would inundate my phone with dozens of angry texts or call my husband to investigate my whereabouts and demand my instant attention. Slavery. This is why they act like. This is how they view you. They view you as an indentured servant, as a slave, as a Cinderella, as somebody you lock away and they demand obedience from. These are people who call you defiant. You can't defy another adult. They can have a differing opinion. They have no legitimate authority over you. None. You can't defy your adult parents. It's not possible. You are an adult. They don't own you. They think they do. That's why they act. It's like a runaway. They treat you like a runaway slave. Sometimes they try to reach me through my office's switchboard. Oh my God. No boundaries, no respect, as if they own you. Hey boy. I didn't know this was written by a female. Hey boy, when I call you, you answer. I was still new at my job, and the calls would occasionally come through while I was in meetings. My colleagues thought there'd be some kind of family emergency. And this is why I tell people when they go no contact, who have these type of fucking line steppers, habitual line steppers. When you go no contact, you have to tell people. You have to tell your boss. You have to tell your switchboard. You have to say, listen, I'm going through some stuff personally. I'm cutting these people out of my life. They will abuse every boundary in my life, as they will see, because these are places of business. They don't want you off on personal phone calls all day, and then they'll see it for themselves and say, listen, I'm not here. Keep them away from me. Don't put it through. Hang up on them. You have my permission. Just cut the line. Hang up on them. You're under no obligation to be nice to anybody making personal calls. This is a business. Hang up. My colleagues thought there'd be some kind of family emergency. Nope. My mom just wanted to chat because your time is meaningless to them. Your time is their time. Your job is inconsequential. It's not a real job. It's not an important job. If it was, you wouldn't be doing it. Their badgering even spread to social media until I blocked them both. Who doesn't love a "call me now" comment on their sunset photo? It was relentless. At first, I did try to establish a more healthy relationship, and that's always a fruitless endeavor. For starters, I turned off my phone more frequently. I also explained that I needed space to find my own way, shared articles and books about creating a respectful bond with adult children whenever I can think of. Who taught you to read? Books? Who taught you to read, slave? How dare you, slave? Who taught you octagon? Bonus points if anybody knows what that's from. I felt like a lawyer. Oh, hold on. I also explained that I needed space to find my own way, shared articles and books about creating a respectful bond with adult children, whatever I could think of. I felt like a lawyer, constantly preparing a case, but instead of culminating a trial, it was an endless series of arguments. Who did a video? Say, the narcissist puts you on trial for life. You are on trial for life, and you are always on the witness stand. You are always being cross-examined. Hey, this person gets it. The narcissist puts you on trial for life. It's one of my videos. Look it up. Look it up. Maybe they hadn't heard me the last time, and I should just keep trying. They heard you. They don't care. You are a slave. Your opinions, your feelings are meaningless. The only thing that means anything is their feelings and their wants and needs. These are the people that are now in estranged parents groups crying that I don't know why my kids went no contact. Vague. I made some mistakes. We know what the playbook is. Maybe they hadn't heard me the last time and I should keep trying. I was perpetually filled with a sense of foreboding. After seeing or speaking to them, it often took a while to bounce back emotionally. I started hanging up or walking out, physically driving away when they broke what they called derisively my rules, which included 1, I don't want to hear about my parents' sex life ever. Did I write this as a female? Is this me? I don't think so. Jesus. 2, do not call me multiple times a day. You have something legitimate to tell or ask me. Related, do not call me at work to make sure I'm okay when they don't like your Facebook post right away. And again, if you listen to phone call from narcissistic mother, that phone call only took place, the first video on my channel, phone call with narcissistic mother, that phone call only took place after something like 40 calls to my house. I think I said she called me like 15 times, which was just a number I threw out there. It was more like 30 to 40 times before I finally picked up. My mother would call me at work, call me a liar, whatever, like no boundary whatsoever. None. When my parents got pissed because I wouldn't let them use my employee discount, my father called Macy's Credit as me with my social security number, impersonating me. But because I was in security and I was an executive, I was a special investigator, I knew the people in the fraud department. And somebody like, wait a minute, I know this guy. Like, and they called me, are like, are you calling from, like, what? Who? Like somebody calling that's saying that you're so, they have your number. And I'm like, I knew it was him. Are you calling me? Yeah, well, they're telling me. Like, they're not telling you, liar. How dare you? Number 3, I am not your spouse or therapist. Find more appropriate people to help process your problems. 4. Don't make jokes about me having been assaulted by a neighbor's son when I was 4. They love doing that, embarrassing stories for the child. I mean, that last straw, my last straw. I was hosting them for Christmas weekend in my cozy home, my safest possible haven, where my new husband and I made such a fuss to make sure every meal was special, every surface sparkling, the fridge bursting with my parents' favorite things. When they started to make jokes about my childhood assault, the worst thing that had ever happened to me, I froze. Did they not remember? Did they assume I forgot? Was this malicious or obvious or oblivious? It was malicious. Again, my mother made jokes, again, at Christmas in front of the whole family about when I was sexually assaulted by these gay guys that my mother met shopping at ShopRite, okay, that she just had that night come over and babysit me so they could go out and fucking party. Because I freaked out and I was upstairs waiting to tell my mother what fucking went down with these goddamn perverts. And the main guy knew they fucked up. Because it wasn't him, it was his friends. It was his buddies, his other gay buddies he had come over. And what he did, he goes and tells my mother, he minimized, like, he got really upset. I've had a couple of my buddies come over, and they thought it'd be funny to show them their, to show them their dick, and that's like all that. Like, and my mother let out this fucking cackle. Let out the cackle. My mother would tell this story. Like nearly every and like in 1 year I'm like, do you think that's all that happened? And even if it was, why would you fucking laugh at that? And she admitted it, like, oh, I thought it was so funny, and I laughed. Like, why would you let some fucking gay guy take his dick out in front of your 5-year-old son? Any guy. That's not all that happened. Don't know why you went. Don't know what your problem is. I still can't answer any of that. Back then I was numb with shock. It took a day or two to really absorb what had happened. After they left, I ignored them for a while. Then I told them not to contact me at all. They wanted to go to therapy together to get me back in line, to stop pushing them away. But anything that meant we would be spending more time together, felt like a noose tightening around my neck. That might sound dramatic, but it felt that dire. I had no choice but to take time away to figure out what to do to make the constant hum of panicky dread go away. I blocked them on my phone, then from my life entirely. If they came to my door, I wouldn't answer. At first I felt afraid and guilty. These were the first most significant authority figures I had ever known. The ones I'd worked so hard to please since birth. Right. And that's why, as an adult, she still thinks that she's capable of defying them. They're not authority figures anymore. They're not. The intensity of my feelings was heavy initially, but every day it got a little lighter. The dread was gradually lifting, floating above me like dust motes. During this break, I found helpful books, online support groups for adult children of dysfunctional families. Even better, I found message boards with other estranged adult children, and the best, an understanding therapist. I journaled a lot. One phrase I heard a lot in support groups was, just drop the rope. I didn't realize I had been pulling with all my strength for so long. I learned that I was coming out of the fog, the fear, obligation, guilt I had previously wallowed in so unhappily. That is the clarity which she's talking about, and I've talked about the fog. The clarity that you get when you go no contact. You could see it from what it is because the fog lifts. I found people just like me who really understood. The time away and the help I found all felt so good that the temporary interval of estrangement turned to months, then years, and now a decade. Occasionally, some communication from them breaks through. They send several long letters those first few years, asking me to list all my grievances clearly so they can argue point by point as though I hadn't been trying to negotiate my boundaries for years. Right. They want you to say it. Again, the only way you win is not to play the game. Because now if you go and start arguing the things you have been telling them for decades anyway, they're just going to gaslight you, call you a liar, and turn it around on you. It's not worth it. It's not. My husband and I still get a generic holiday card every December with just a signature, like you get from your dentist's office. I always told myself that I'd reach out if I missed them or felt the urge to hear their voices, but that has yet to happen. My life is simply happier without the specter of my parents looming over me. If you'd asked me as a young woman to envision a life without them present at every milestone, I wouldn't have been able to picture it. How could that even be possible when we were so close? Because you were never close. You were never close. You were a slave. But sometimes closeness can be suffocating and unhealthy. Yeah, that's not closeness. That's authoritarian. That's you're being lorded over. That's not being close. That's being lorded over. Now in my 40s, I'm content in a way I could never have imagined during my often chaotic childhood. After what I feel was a lost childhood, I am truly able to figure out what I want out of life instead of what is expected of me. It hasn't always been easy, but I'm creating the safety and happiness I've always craved. The kind of home every kid, every person really should have. I am free. The writer's name has been changed to protect her property. So again, no contact works. Let them be estranged. Let them go whine online about it. Don't worry, I'll be there to call them out. I'll be there to call them out because I can handle it. Is what I do. But you can't be defiant as an adult to your parents. They have no authority over you. They have no legitimate authority over you. You're under no obligation to listen to their demands, to appease their demands. The estranged parent sees you as a runaway slave. That's their mentality. And now they're upset that they've lost their asset. Their asset for what? Their asset of narcissistic supply. Sorry. Cry more about it. Cry more about it. And again, notice how specific this woman is. She's telling you what her issues is. She's telling you what they did to her. She's telling you how and where and what they abused her with. The estranged parents? I don't know. Everybody makes mistakes. There wasn't no manual. Mm-hmm. Wipe your ass with the manual. So, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much, Beth, for the contribution. I really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody watching. Please leave any opinions in the comment section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like me to cover, something you'd like to expose, you'd like to set up a Skype, a phone call, have a private video made, you'd like to sponsor a video like this for someone who needs help and can't afford it, or just make a contribution to the channel in general to keep it supported, growing, and successful, because this channel survives 100% on contributions from all of you. Without you guys, all of this goes away. So if you like what you see here and you want to see more videos like this, you know what to do with either the Cash App, Zelle, PayPal, and email links in the description box below. Also, please like and share this video wherever you can. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and be sure to click the subscription bell to be notified of all my video uploads. Also, be sure to follow me to subscribe to both my channels on Rumble. Follow me on Twitter and Telegram as well. I'm Ollie Matthews. This has been Societal Narcissism. Take care, everyone.